It's 2023. We've been packing our bag ready for a load of shoots this week and getting back into things. So let's have a look at what's in our camera bag for real estate photography. So let's get straight into it. This is the bag that we tend to take out on all of our shoots. This is a Low Pro RLX 450 AW2. Bit of a mouthful, but this is an absolute beast. It's a large capacity bag, which also has the feature of roller wheels or putting it on your back, depending on how you want to take your kit around. The reason that we chose this bag is once you start carrying around a load of expensive heavy glass and lots of camera bodies, etc., as we all know, it's a bit of a backbreaker, and this was a lifesaver for us. We dragged this along behind us rather than putting it on our back most of the time. Let's start off with the camera bodies. We have two Canon R6 cameras. One of them is here, one of them is on that tripod that you're watching me on right now. There are some key benefits to the R6 that attracted us to this particular camera. First of all, it has a 20.2 megapixel full frame sensor, which is perfect for real estate photography. The reason for that is, firstly, file sizes are very manageable. It works out at around about 20 megabytes per photograph. When we're doing real estate, we do 3 exposures of every photograph we're taking. A dark exposure, a light exposure, and something in the middle, and we then blend them in Photoshop afterwards. So when we're dealing with huge numbers of photographs, we don't want to be dealing with very large file sizes. So this is kind of perfect, really. It means that our workflow isn't affected too much. The second primary feature of this is it's a well put together piece of camera with all the features that we need for photography. It's also got decent weatherproofing. We quite often find ourselves stood outside in the rain. Isn't that right, Scott? So we want something that's not going to leak and not going to damage our equipment. And so far we've been out in some fairly torrential weather with a weather sealed lens and a weather sealed camera, and it's not been a problem. The R6 has dual SD card slots. This is perfect for us. Firstly, every camera that we have has to have dual card slots of some nature purely to back up and give us a redundant backup for all of our data. 2 SDs rather than a CF Express or a CF Fast card makes a big difference for us in terms of workflow. It just means that we have a pouch full of SD cards. It means that we can shove the SD card straight into the side of our MacBook Pro. Makes life a lot easier. You'll notice that there is an EF to RF adapter on the front of the camera. We have that on both of our cameras. We have a load of EF mount glass from previous Canon systems. So whilst we do have some RF lenses, most of them just go straight onto the EF mount. The EF mount is brilliant. No problems with it whatsoever in terms of autofocus. So that makes our life a lot easier without having to upgrade all of our kit to RF. You'll notice that we have a grip, battery grip on one of our R6s. Reason for that purely is capacity. This is the camera that we tend to put on top of the tripod for all of our wide stuff. We tend to get through up nearly 2,000 photographs a day if we're doing 2 or 3 shoots. So we need to make sure we've got capacity. It just makes life a lot easier rather than changing batteries more frequently. Gives us far more capacity, and because it's sat on top of a tripod, doesn't really affect us in terms of carrying around the extra weight. There are also some video related features of the R6 that we found really favorable. We'll talk about those in another video about real estate videography. So make sure you subscribe whilst you're here to stay alert, wash your hands. So make sure you subscribe to our channel so you stay alert. Make sure you subscribe so you stay in front of what? So you just subscribe. Okay, let's move on to glass. Okay, let's start with the most important stuff. On real estate, most of the stuff that we shoot is wide angle. All of our clients want to show off the properties and make them look big and bold and show the space within the interior features. For a long time, we use this lens. We now use this as our backup. It stays in our bag. This is the Canon f4 16-35. It's a fantastic lens. It's very light, it's pretty small and compact, and it is sharp as hell. It's actually sharper than the 2.8 version of this lens, and that's why we got it. It doesn't matter that it's f4. Some people might be put off by the fact it's f4. It has no bearing at all on the nature of the photographs we take for real estate. All of our shots are taken on a tripod for exterior and interior photographs. We set the camera every time the same way at ISO 100, and we shoot at about f10 or f11 so that everything is sharp. That means that the exposure needs to be adjusted purely by shutter speed. Being on a tripod, it doesn't matter at all. And because we're shooting at f11, it doesn't matter it's an f4 lens, we never ever need the requirement for anything bigger. Moving on from that, we recently upgraded to a slightly better lens, but that stays in our bag and it's a really important lens. This is what we moved up to. This is the Sigma Art 14-24 f2.8, and it's an absolute monster. It's actually about 3 times the weight of the Canon that we were just looking at. However, it has some key benefits over the Canon. Firstly, it's a 14mm at its widest. At that end of the focal range, that extra 2mm does make a difference, and our clients have always been asking us to go wide, 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 and it does make a difference. It makes those rooms just look that little bit grander. That's the first thing, but the actual quality of the imagery and the glass, this is excellent. It's just as sharp as the Canon, but it has a certain quality about it that I tend to find with all the Sigma Art lenses are just beautiful. So it's a fantastic lens for that as well. Also being f2.8 doesn't matter at all for real estate photography, but it just makes it a bit more of a versatile lens. And actually, even though it's very heavy, I do sometimes use it on events and weddings and things like that, just to get that super wide look on the dance floor. So it gives it a bit more versatility. We have some other lenses as well in the bag. So more and more of our clients in real estate are asking us to create detailed photographs around the properties, what we call lifestyle photography. And so for that, we use a couple of prime lenses. My go-to, the one I always get out of the bag first, is this. This is the Sigma Art 50mm f1.4. It's my favorite lens. Not only is it a beautiful piece of glass, the stunning nature of the optics on this mean that it always comes out looking great. It's so good at f1.4, we find ourselves just making sure we don't always shoot wide open. But it's a very versatile lens. You always know where you are with it, and it's not that big, it's not that heavy, it just goes in the bag, and we use that a lot. Going on from that, we have 85mm prime. This is also an f1.4. This is the EXDG Sigma rather than the Art, so it's not as technically not as high quality, but the actual optics on this are outstanding. I don't think there's a lot between them. And again, we prefer this one because it's the 85mm Sigma Art is massive, really heavy. This is a lot more user-friendly. So that stays in the bag as well. A beautiful lens. One more lens in the bag. Doesn't get used very often, but it's good to have in there for the odd occasion where it comes in useful. This is the Canon 70-200 f2.8 IS2. We're going to say 2. A really handy lens for events, generally speaking, but we keep it in the bag for real estate, just for that odd moment that comes in handy. There might be a bird in the tree that we want to illustrate the sort of surroundings. There might be a castle, there might be a mountain, or whatever it might be in the distance. And our clients are always looking for that shot which sort of demonstrates the sort of context of where the property is, like what's the surrounding area. That sometimes comes in useful. It sits in the bag, and occasionally that gets usage as well. So that's all of our lenses covered. You can see we've got 5 lenses in the bag. Primary ones are a really good wide lens for your interiors and exteriors, and a really good prime lens for your lifestyle and detail shots. The rest are kind of superfluous in most of the times, but a good backup and something with a bit more focal length and a second prime. Other bits in the camera bag. First of all, we have an adjustable ND filter, 77mm, because the vast majority of our lenses are 77mm thread. The obvious stuff, we have lens cloth, we have a pouch full of Canon batteries, 10 batteries or so in there that we always keep charged. You never want to run out, obviously. And then in addition to that, we have a pouch full of SD cards for spares. We tend to use the SanDisk fast stuff, so there's no messing about, and they're always reliable. Touch wood, we've never had one fail, have we?
Not yet.
So far. And then we have a load of screen cleaners as well. One more piece of equipment that stays in the bag itself, and never leave home without it, basically, is the Apple MacBook Pro. This is the 14-inch MacBook Pro baseline model. It's an absolute monster, and it does absolutely everything that we need as photographers and videographers. The reason we take it with us on all the shoots, firstly, we have another option for backup if we're running out of space. It means also more frequently we get to show our clients the photographs there and then on the shoot without waiting to get back and deliver them digitally. So that's the bag itself. However, one more really important piece of kit that you should never leave home without as a real estate photographer, and that is a really good tripod. For years, we just used sort of little travel tripods with little ball heads on, and making the investment and the jump up to a bit of a beefier tripod was one of the best things that we ever did as real estate photographers. So as I mentioned earlier, all of our photos for interior and exterior will be taken from a tripod, so you're using it all the time. You need something that's robust, that's not going to break, that has really, really good features about it, and this is the best one for us. This is the Benro Mark III tripod, which has been amazing for us. It's carbon fiber, it's very beefy, it's got very, very sturdy fixtures for extending the legs and all the rest of it. Really, really good. Really nice collar sort of adjustment on it, which means that it's really, really a joy to use. Most importantly of all, however, as a real estate photographer, what you need is a geared head. Do not use a ball head. There are many reasons for this, but primarily when you're shooting such important, specific kind of forensic style photographs, you really want to be able to make infinite small adjustments to both pitch, roll, and tilt. Once you've used one of these as a real estate photographer, you will wonder why you didn't do it sooner. So that's a quick look at our camera kit for real estate in 2023. If you've got any questions or would like to say anything, stick them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay alert, wash your hands, and we'll see you on the next video.